Hello. Today we're going to be talking about what happens when you have no radio. Okay. Originally, gliders and even airplanes didn't have radios, particularly gliders. They don't have engines. They didn't have a source of electricity easily available. Nowadays, gliders carry batteries, but early gliders um, didn't have electrical systems. Radios were not small or easy to use. And so we have a series of signals that were developed and that have been modified over generations for hand signals for the ground crew, visual signals from the glider itself, and signals from the tow plane. This comes because of a question from Cosmic Ray 7903 on the last live stream. He said, he's talking about all the Aerotow stuff we were doing. So when you say dragging a wing, is it just too low, or are you actually dragging it on the ground runway? Also, what do you do if the tow rope doesn't release? Thanks for the lesson. You're welcome, Cosmic Ray. So let's just take that point by point. When you say dragging a wing, is it just too low, or are you actually dragging it on the runway? When we talk about dragging a wing, we actually mean contacting the wingtip with the ground. Okay, we mean literally dragging it on the runway or on the dirt runway, whatever. So here we have an ASK-21, and what you will see is this is a common trainer. One of the most built gliders. We have one of these at our club. And on the wingtips here, okay, you can see there's that little part, that little orange part that's hanging down. Okay, I can kind of put it right in front of us. There's that little orange part that's hanging down there. Okay, that's a skid. You commonly see skids on the ends of glider wingtips. And for training gliders, okay, on the wingtip there, what you'll do is the club, they'll do it at the manufacturer. They'll install a rollerblade wheel out there. Okay, so you have a rollerblade wheel on the wingtip. So if you do drag it, particularly for brand new students, when it's very common, instead of dragging, you've got a nice little rollerblade wheel out there that'll make it so there's a lot less friction. And they'll just install one of those rollerblade wheels on each side. I think every single one of our two-seat gliders at Tucson Soaring Club has one of those rollerblade wheels on the wingtip there. Okay, it greatly reduces the amount of friction that you'll experience. And what you'll see is brand new pilots, as they're going down the runway, you know, they're trying to keep the wings level, but they end up touching one wing to the ground, and then maybe touching even the other wing, or they'll just barely have it off the ground, and then as the aircraft speeds up on tow, as it's rolling out as it's rolling on the runway there, you know, as the ailerons become more effective, they'll get better control of it. But that's one of the first skills you start working on during that. So there's that. Also, what do you do if the tow rope doesn't release? Okay, so this is what's going to get us into the signals portion. Okay, so realize there's a couple things with the tow rope. First of all, you usually have the tow rope is attached at 2 points, obviously. Okay, it's attached at both the glider, on the nose of the glider, or sometimes on the chin, okay, or in the nose, depending on the make and model of where they put the tow mechanism. But it's also attached to the tow plane as well. Okay, and what'll happen is if the normally think of towing behind a tow plane as a glider. Think of it as water skiing. Okay, normally, you know, when the water skier wants to wants to get off, they just let go of the rope, and now they're off. Okay, and that's usually what you do with a glider in the air. If there's a problem with that, the tow plane has its own independent tow mechanism, release mechanism, which you check both of them at the beginning of every day to make sure that they're properly functioning. What if you have a double failure? So if the glider would normally release, if they can't release, they'd say, hey, I can't release. Okay, then the tow plane would then try to release, and then the glider would still have a rope on it, but that's not that big of a deal. You just fly in and you set up and you land with the tow rope there. It'll just be dragging behind you. Not really a big issue. What if you have a double failure? Okay, where both mechanisms can't release? Well, remember that the tow rope strength can be no more than twice, 200%, twice the weight of the glider. And that's so that way the tow line is breakable by the glider. Okay, you don't want a solid steel cable that is unbreakable, because now you don't have any options. So what you see is either nylon ropes that are used on the tow for tow, or some other type of synthetic fiber. Some oftentimes, and so that's what you see. And so even then, you can intentionally break it, and we're going to show that. Let's first talk about the signals, okay? Because if you can't release, let's say you have no radio, okay? How do you tell the other person that you can't release? How do they tell you to release? How do they tell you they can't release? Okay, this is actually going to appear on the knowledge test for your glider license. Okay, you will learn these signals, and you'll be tested on them in flight. You'll also be asked about them on the knowledge test, so you have to know these. Okay, and we'll go through what a typical flight looks like, and then how each of these signals is used. Okay, so so based on Cosmic Eye, based on your comment, based on that comment from you, I was like, you know what, we need to talk about hand signals. So and the glider signals that we show, and this is even here is just as a snapshot of them, but we'll use them in context and show how they're typically used. So let's see. So the moment you're sitting in the glider, you're going to start receiving a set of hand signals. Nowadays, radios are pretty cheap, and they're everywhere. Even the people on the ground who are assisting in the launch of gliders, they're going to have a radio usually with them or nearby. So everyone can be talking to everyone, but these are still good visual signals that reinforce what the radio communication is. And they are also usable when there isn't a radio, or a radio is broken in a glider. A glider can still be totally airworthy. It just may not have a radio, or the tow plane. You'd hate to have no operations for a day because there was an issue with a radio, when we have these perfectly good hand signals that have been working for generations as a way to communicate. Okay, so just going through these. Some of these you're going to use on the ground, and some you're going to use in the air. Some are used by and they're used by three different, people, three different responsibilities. Okay, you're going to have visual signals from the tow plane. You're going to have signals from the glider, and you're going to have signals from your ground crew that is helping to launch and recover gliders. Okay. We'll just go through these. These are in the actual test booklet. They don't have names on them because some of the questions in the knowledge test is going to ask you what these are and what they mean. Okay. So we'll just go through these real quick. Number one, you see the tow. There's an airplane. We're behind a tow plane. He's on the ground. You can see this little line. That's the runway that he's on there. He's fanning his rudder. That means he's ready to take off. Okay. And the glider would respond by fanning his rudder pedals back and forth to say that the glider is also ready to take off. Number two is the standard hold signal with the arms stretched out. At Tucson Soaring, we use a single arm raised above the head for that. These are the standard signals. You'll see variations at different operations. Number three is cut the tow rope. Okay. Number four is take up slack. Okay, he's got a little flag there in his hand to increase his visibility. Okay, I'm wearing a hat today, so that way, this is what I do when I'm doing ground operations out at the Tiger Club. I'll use this as my flag. This is my flag to increase my visibility. The tow plane will have little rear view mirrors, and he's looking backwards to see what's going on. You're a very small little blip in the back of his rear view mirror, and you're a couple hundred feet away, and so anything to increase your visibility. So you'll just take it and you'll wave it back and forth down low like that. That's take up slack. 5 and 6 are essentially the same signal there. You're saying it says pull gently. Okay, if the glider flies out to the left, he's gonna pull gently, and it's gonna pull the nose of the tow plane to the right. That says I want to turn right. Okay. 6 is I want to turn left. Okay, he comes out to the side, pulling the nose of the tow plane to the left. 7 is stop operations immediately. I mean, it's literally waving your hands back and forth in the air. 8, that's one you'll see in the air as well, just like 5 and 6. 5 and 6. 8 is that's the wagging of the wings of the tow plane. He's saying get off tow. He might be having an issue, or if you're at a site where they're doing a lot of tows, he may have taken you to the max altitude where he wants you to get off so he can get the next person. If you're staying on tow too long, he can wave you off. Okay. 9, okay, is now this gets back to where we were. Okay. Gets back to Cosmic Guy, your original question. 9, okay, if he's fishtailing like this, so this is saying the tow plane can't release. And number 10 is moving out to the left side with the glider and him rolling his wings, and he's saying the glider can't release. So the way you would see this, okay, in real life, let's say we had no radio. If we have a radio, we just say, I can't release. You just call up the tow plane or the glider, and you get on the radio and say, hey, I can't release. I pulled the release mechanism, it didn't work. Okay, but if either it's a congested environment, it's an emergency, or and by congested, I mean really like somebody else is talking on the radio. If the radio frequency is congested with somebody else talking too much, then you can see these signals. But it's really useful when somebody doesn't have a radio installed. The way you would see this is let's say you have that neither one of the aircraft does not have a radio on board. First, you'd be towing up. You get to an altitude, and maybe you've been trying to release as the glider pilot. Okay, you can't get off for some reason. Okay, tow plane will be thinking, "What's this guy doing behind me? He's not getting off. We're past the altitude that we were going to go to." Okay, I'm going to rock my wings. I'm going to tell him, get off. Okay. Okay. Now the glider pilot's going to say, I can't. I've been trying to this whole time and I can't do it. So they're going to come out to the left. That glider's going to come out to the left and he's going to roll his wings saying, I can't release. Okay. Then the tow plane sees this in his rearview mirror. The tow plane will then try to release him. Okay. So that way the glider can fly back with the tow rope attached. If he tries to use his release mechanism, then all of a sudden, and he can't, all of a sudden now he's got to communicate, I can't release you either. Okay, so he's really going to, instead of rocking his wings, he's going to fan, he's going to do this fishtail like you see in image number 9, fishtail back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and now he's told the glider he can't get off. So at this point, the glider knows that, you know, he's attached and so he's got to get off. I think there was one glider operation in the country that taught tandem landings. That's not common. The more common way to do it is to just break the tow rope, and so you can just pull back on it, you know, and either snap it, break it that way, or you can do an operation where you dive down and then pull up to quickly put tension on the tow rope and break it that way. You know, if the tow rope has been used for a number of tows, it'll, you know, they weaken over time. And so if you're in rough conditions, I've had tow ropes break on me just naturally, in which case you've got part of the rope in front of you. You fly over the field, release it over the field so it drops back onto the field. The little metal rings on there, they're actually kind of pricey, so you want to reuse those. Don't just drop them out in the forest or the desert or wherever, because no one wants that. Okay. Okay, so so you'd break, and then you could either, and then if you have part of the tow rope attached to your glider, if neither side could release, you're probably not going to want to fly that way. It's just extra drag and whatnot, and you need to get that looked at. Okay. So that's 8, 9, and 10. 11 and 12. Okay. This is in the same way that 5 and 6 in the air is turn left, turn right. Speed up, slow down. Is what it is. So number 11 is rolling the wings. You're just directly behind the tow plane, and you roll your wings directly behind the tow plane. Okay. Number 10, you move out to the side and do it. That's for I can't release. If you're just doing it directly behind the tow plane, that's saying speed up. Number 12 is slow down. Is you're doing a fishtail behind the tow plane is saying, and you're saying slow down. And the way I always remember that is if you're fishtailing and yawing back and forth, you're creating a lot of drag. And so it's saying, hey, I'm creating more drag. I want you to slow down. Whereas 11 is speed up. Again, these are always done in most operations that have a radio. You're just done over the radio. Heavier gliders may want to go 5 knots faster. Lightweight single seat gliders, smaller gliders might want to go 5 knots slower during the tow, is what I find. And if you go 5 knots faster or 5 knots slower than whatever it was, everyone stops complaining, and they're fine with it after that. 13 is important, both for what it means and also for not making a mistake. Okay, so 13, it looks like 2 different things. Okay, remember, number 1 is on the ground. You can see a little runway there. That's on the ground. This is in the air. 13 is in the air, okay? And it's not fishtailing like in 9. It's just a quick waggle, waggle, waggle. It's slapping you across the face. Think of a fish's tail slapping you across the face to wake you up. What it's saying is check configurations. check the configuration of your glider. It means most likely that your spoilers are open. Spoilers or air brakes are open, and you want to close those immediately. Okay, and when everything's going on, if you had the spoilers ever so slightly unlocked, okay, as you speed up and take off, the higher speed air over those wings can pop up those spoilers, and now you're it can be causing drag for both you and for the tow plane. And also, if you get off tow and you don't realize that you have your spoilers open, you could be descending more quickly than you intended to be or want it to be. The one that you're always going to be tested on in flight and on the ground is the difference between number 9 and number 13. And this is where people run into trouble. People have mistaken one for the other. And people have gotten killed over this, literally. Okay? Rolling the wings, or rocking the wings, as you'll oftentimes hear it's called. Rocking the wings means get off tow. Slapping you across the face, like number 13, is saying check configuration, your spoilers are open. Okay? People have flown and a tow plane has gone as waggled the rudder at someone, and they thought, oh, I need to get off tow. Well, they get off tow, they're too low, they've already got their spoilers open, so they're going down faster than they wanted to, and people have landed in the trees this way and have gotten killed. Okay, these are the two you cannot mix up. Okay, number 13, when that tow plane's rudder is whapping you across the face like a fish, saying wake up, you're not paying attention, your spoilers are open. It's number 8, rocking the wings. That means get off. Okay. So if we look at the glider flying handbook, we've got these other pictures of different things. And in fact, these also appear in the, let's go back to the knowledge test supplement. This is the book that you actually use during your knowledge test. Okay. Let's see. Nope, that's the right one. Where'd you go? Nope, it was 72, 70. 73. Okay, so you'll see this here. Okay, in the this is in the knowledge test supplement. This is a hand, and it's outside. So these are glider hand signals that are used on the ground by the ground crew. Okay, check controls, moving the thumb in a circle. I've never been in an operation that used that. These other ones are constantly used. Open the tow hook. You see an open. You'll see that right in front of you. They'll do an open hand to open the tow hook, and then they'll close it when they're ready. When they've inserted they'll insert the tow ring into your release mechanism. Okay, and then they'll close their hand, and that means you release on the mechanism, so that way it locks in place. Okay, they'll walk out to the wing. You give them a thumbs up saying you're ready. They'll give the wing, the line chief or wing runner will actually, they'll walk out. They'll say they're ready. They'll give you a thumbs up. You give them a thumbs up as a glider pilot, saying that you're ready for the wing to be leveled. Okay, the wings will get leveled. Okay, then they'll start saying take up slack. Okay, I use my hat for this. Take up slack. Take up slack. Okay. That tells the tow plane to start moving forward, take up slack. The wing runner will then, they're still holding that wing with one hand. Then they'll in our operation, we do hold with a single upraised hand. Okay. Next, getting back to what we saw here. Okay. The tow plane will waggle his rudder, saying he's ready. The glider pilot will respond by waggling his rudder to say he's ready. Then the line chief or wing runner will do a circular motion with their hand that isn't holding the wing all the way around, saying begin takeoff. Okay, and that's how you take off. So let's show how some of these would be used in context, and then also show how we would signal to the tow plane, and then we'll come back, we'll show how to do some of these aerial signals as well. Okay, Condor isn't perfect for this. It's got a a pre-programmed tow plane routine in there, but we'll still get a lot of benefit from demonstrating this in flight. Okay, so let's start that up. Okay. Condor is going to load up. Okay. Okay,